halls of the Capitol, they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border to the heartland, the wolves are at the door, twisting truth and tearing down what our fathers fought before. But I'm a patriot source, standing tall and true, with a Bible in my hand and old glory flying blue. Ain't apologizing for loving this land. We'll fight the forces of evil with fire in our stand. God bless the USA, we'll never back down. Patriots for freedom, wearing that crown.
Whoa, whoa, hey, are we here? We're live? What's up, everybody? Can you guys hear us? Hey, if you're in the chat and you can hear us, put some comments in there so we know that you guys can hear us, because we're
Welcome
finally
back.
in the same room. You see, look at that. I know it says NomDePlume on the screen, but for those of you all that can't tell, this is NomDePlume. This is PatriotDad. NomDePlume, PatriotDad. And I know, I mean, we hear this all the time from people. Are you guys just like, running a hoax? Are there really two of you? Yes.
Yes, there are two of us.
There are two of us.
Yes.
As you can see, there's two of us.
Double
this
the
is-
trouble.
This is a green screen. This is all AI. We are the same person, just like they do in the movies. We scripted this entire thing out. We're going to completely ignore all of your comments, your super chats, your Rumble rants. They're all going to be ignored.
No, they're
tonight.
not.
Wait,
no,
I'm just
no,
kidding.
no, they're not. They're not. No.
It's a
Folks-
hologram. He doesn't really exist.
The look of slumber party. That's right. Well,
Not
no,
really.
We've all got separate bedrooms and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Nom's house is big enough for multiple bedrooms, multiple people. Both of my kids have their own room. My wife and I, Patriot Mom, have our separate room. And there was even more room for this office. By the way, I have to admit, not a bad setup.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. It's a little small. And we were having some technical difficulties trying to figure out how to set all this up for you guys tonight. So we're using one microphone, one laptop to play the audio. If it doesn't sound right, I apologize. We just kind of threw it together, doing the best that we can. But I'm glad to be back. We had an incredible vacation. But if you are engaged in this type of stuff, like Nom and SK and I are, it is really, really hard to disconnect, because the news cycle moves so rapidly now that if you're not plugged in to social media all day, every day, you lose sight of what's actually going on. Like a story that was important yesterday is no longer important today. And that's how I felt, because Patriot Mom was like, knock it off. You're not making any videos. You're not engaging. You're going to enjoy vacation. And I did. It was fun. But I'm just going to tell you guys, I will never, ever, ever go back to that place again. Ever. Ever. I was not prepared for the raking over the coals that we experienced when I took my kids for the first time to Walt Disney World. It was holy crap. You know how many dads I saw walking around with t-shirts that said most expensive day ever, like they were proud of it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean, what the crap, dude? No, we are technically not
Karen.
identical twins. We
Technically,
are
Karen
we're
on
perfect
Rumble.
twins.
Karen on Rumble. She said smile and nod SK.
What does that mean?
Just smile and nod.
Because remember I said when PatriotDad comes back, Nom and I are just going to be smiling and nodding while we just let him go off. She said smile and nod SK.
Well, it's weird because the other day I remember telling you guys I'm going to have a lot to say. And then after spending 8.5 hours in the car getting here yesterday, I forgot most of what I had to say. And I was listening to the podcast that you guys did while I was gone, and I don't know what you guys were worried about because I thought they were fantastic. They were good. They were probably, you guys did a great job. I was like, well, shit, I don't even need to be there.
We didn't even plan at all. Like it would be like 30 minutes before or an hour before. And I'd be like, so like, what are we talking about? What are we doing? And he's like,
How
we'll
is
just
that
figure
any
it out.
different than what we always do?
It's not, except I had to do most of the talking instead of you doing most of the talking. That's the difference.
Well, good job. You guys did a great job. The shows were good. I tried to play the after hour show in the car for Patriot Mom because I had my earbuds in and I was just driving along, listening, laughing out loud. And she looks over and she's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, well, let me just show you. And within about 4 seconds, I had to turn it off.
That's me.
Because
I'm sorry.
no, it was both you guys because we were playing it through the radio, through the speakers in the car, and all my kids in the back are hearing is you and Nom dropping F-bombs left and right. And my wife's like, turn it off. So I had to put my earbuds back in, and the shows were fantastic. You guys did a great job.
Patriot Mom. I did say at the beginning of the show, if you had kids in the room, this show is not the one to have them in the room for. So sorry.
Yeah. They were both unhinged. We loved it. Yes, we were both unhinged.
It was good. It was good. But, you know, the one video I made on vacation is because I made the mistake of I woke up before everybody else and I was drinking my coffee and we didn't quite have an early morning breakfast plan. So we were just kind of, you know, doing our thing, trying to get out of the door eventually. I was scrolling through social media and I come across these podcast bros and hoes basically just making crap up again. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Did you guys saw that? I think I know I made a video about it. I made a video because I could not leave this alone. You have Ian Carroll, you have the fat slobby Project Constitution, who, by the way, is one of the grossest human beings I have ever experienced on social media. If you don't follow that guy, go block him right now. He is an absolute train wreck. He's a train wreck. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
The dude pulled audio from a 2005, 2006 Palm Beach County investigation where a undercover informant called Haley Robson to talk to her about setting up a date with Jeffrey Epstein. And that slob decided to run with it and pretend like it was Erica freaking Kirk. Look, I mean, are we done with these assholes yet?
I think so.
We've been done for months and months and months.
Are we done with these assholes yet? Folks in the chat, please.
Well, no, we're not done with them yet because as we know, we've got the latest distraction. And I told you, you guys remember Monday's show? Do you all remember Monday's show when I told you that the Senate was getting ready to start debate on the Save America Act? As Trump reminded us, it's not the Save Act, it's Save America Act. And there was going to be a distraction come Tuesday morning to stop that debate. And what happened? Well, I think by now we all know Joe Kent, director of the counterterrorism unit under the Office of Director of National Intelligence, resigned in protest. And don't worry, we've got a lot.
Did he?
Well, like I said, we've got a lot to say about that. But that distraction happened within minutes of when that debate was supposed to begin. So that was the distraction. And then, as we know, as soon as he did that, he ran out to some of the podcast bros and hosts, the Tucker Carlson and the Candace Owens, and scheduled his interview or his whatever you want to call it, his sit downs with them. So yeah, I don't think we're done with them because we're going to have to go and knock this shit down too.
Well, so here's the thing. I think that, and SK, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think Nom and I have collectively agreed that after we're done beating the crap out of these idiots tonight for a little bit, we're moving on. I am done allowing these demons of propaganda to control the narrative anymore. Joe pooped the bed. What?
Joe pooped the bed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Joe can't poop the bed. No, he did more than poop the bed. The dude ran with his tail between his legs and he ran to the Red Flag Brigade, the podcast bros and hoes, where he thought he could find some protection. Come to find out, no, sorry, dude. You're not going to be protected after all the leaking that you were doing. We'll get to that. That's coming up. We've got some pretty good audio talking about how this guy might end up finding his ass in jail by the time the administration is done with him, and rightfully so. If what they're saying about him is true, he probably should go to jail. I asked a question earlier today. Did Joe Kent get caught in a canary trap? We'll talk about that a little bit more too. But I'm sorry, SK, I interrupted you. My bad. Were you going to say something?
I don't remember. I'm reading comments now. I got distracted.
All right. Fine. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to go off for a few minutes because I have had it with the podcast Bros and Hoes. And Nom, you made a comment in one of the episodes where I was spending my rear end into oblivion in Walt Disney World. And can I just say real quick, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. If you're going to pay that much money for a meal, can you please make the food good?
No, that's
Right?
not part of the deal.
No, hold on. I have the same gripe. We went for Christmas one year. Like we were there on Christmas, like all through Christmas. And I was like, we're going one time. So I waited till all the kids were old enough. We went all out. We stayed at, one of the resorts. We did all the things. We ate at all the places. Every single meal we had was stupid expensive, and the food was absolutely disgusting.
Yep. Of all the meals that we ate there was one breakfast that was good, and there was one dinner that was good. So it was we were at the Floridian, which by the way is the same hotel where that 2-year-old got eaten by an alligator. And we didn't know that until after we left. We're like, oh, that's good. We're just, at the hotel where some little kid got eaten by an alligator a couple of years ago and never bothered to check that out. But we ate breakfast at the Floridian, and my daughter got, she got all the signatures of the princesses and all that stuff. So she had a blast. My son was bored out of his freaking mind the entire time, was bored. He's like, Dad, this is awful. Can we please go do something fun? The one fun thing that they got to do that he enjoyed is they actually got to build their own lightsabers. And these are legit lightsabers too. These are not like the little $25 crappy, like these, they have some weight to them. They got to pick the little crystals. That was super cool.
It was cool being in there, wasn't it?
But it was $300 freaking dollars for each one of the lightsabers.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the best meal we had the whole time we were there was when we went to Disney Springs and we ate in an actual restaurant.
Disney Springs is a cool place. We stopped there twice. Somehow I got conned into going back again and did just as much damage the second time around as we did the first. And I don't know.
House. I think it's called the Boat House.
I don't know what happened to me. At some point in the not too distant past, my body has started to change a little bit. Like I've never been one of those people that had like foot issues, like never, right? I mean, you hear about kids growing up or, early adulthood, people have problems with their feet. Never been my problem at all. My feet were on fire the entire time we were there. And as we were getting to the place, I keep seeing all of these fully grown adults wearing these shoes that I was just laughing at. I'm like, why are you wearing shoes that look like they're covered in marshmallows? Like looked like they were walking on giant pads of foam.
Now you know why.
And now I know why, because I did not have the proper shoes to be walking around amusement parks all day long. Something happened to my feet. And now when I stand on them for too long, it just hurts. And I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, it's called getting old, dude. It's called getting old. Hey,
anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Disney World anymore, frankly, because I'm as bored as your son was, as PatriotDad was, frankly.
We got a new member. Look at that.
Yay. Well, Beaverhausen coming over from the Rumble. She's over here on the YouTube.
She wants to be part of the cool.
Yeah.
I saw some people coming in here earlier saying they were coming in to YouTube from X because the X chat sucks. So X,
there's nobody there.
We should just discontinue the X chat.
No, we need it.
No, we need it. We definitely need it.
Yeah, we'll just let them feel left out.
So here's the deal.
Hokas are the best, Joanne. That's
what we can do. So we can actually show all the comments up here so everybody can be involved.
Yes.
And
that's cool.
Yeah. So you guys can all see. So if you're on X and you're in the X chat and you want to communicate with all these folks, you can at least see it. Now, there you go.
All right. So I am done with the podcast bros and hoes. I think Nom and I and SK would agree that we are going to take the position that these people are no longer going to distract us from our mission, which is to continue to advance the MAGA agenda, the agenda that we voted for overwhelmingly. 78 million Americans voted for an America First agenda that requires the United States to project strength on the global stage in order to be able to establish regionally controlled portions of the globe, right? Does everyone understand what that means? You cannot ever get this country into a place where we can pull ourselves out of the Middle East unless you establish an environment in the Middle East where the regional powers can control it, which is why it is absolutely critical that chaos agents like Iran no longer have the ability to inflict chaos. They have to be removed so that the Gulf states, Israel, and other countries in the region have the ability to actually advance their societies into a place where they can support their citizens, they can engage in commerce, they can develop technology, they can become the countries that they're supposed to become. You cannot do that when you have these a-holes in Iran who are threatening nuclear war using their axis of what do they call it? Axis of I don't even know what it's called. Axis of resistance is what it's called. These guys had to be removed. You cannot project strength in the world when you are bogged down in forever wars, but you also cannot create the type of regionally controlled system when you just pull yourself into the borders like these America only idiots want to do. You can't do that. So there's going to have to be a breaking process. There has to be a process where we break the globalist system. And that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He's literally destroying the globalist system right before our very eyes. And these a-hole bought and paid for podcast bros and hoes, these idiot propagandist demons are doing everything in their power to try to stop the agenda that we voted for. There is no question about it anymore, folks. There is no question whatsoever about what Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Dave Smith, Nick Groyper Boy Fuentes, who's the weirdest of weirdos I think I've ever seen online. These people are actively trying to protect the globalist system that we voted to replace. That's all they're doing. And I'm over it. I'm done with it. We're going to spend a couple of minutes tonight talking about just some of the latest slaps in the face that these morons have had to deal with. We saw Ian Carroll last week when I was on vacation get his literal ass dragged all over social media because of the slop that he was trying to push around. Now you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene using video from 2017. You got Candace Owens being fact-checked by her own stinking producer live on camera tonight. I'm done with these people. I'm done with them.
Yeah. And so before we dive in, folks, there we go. So I wanted to let you remember we all talked on Monday, and one of the things we told you is we were going to have a special guest join us, a candidate who is who's going to be running in the 11th district in Georgia by the name of Rob Adkerson. Most of you, if you spend any time on TikTok, may know him by the TikTok name of Common Sense. You'll recognize him as soon as you see him. He was supposed to join us here in about 10 minutes, but he actually just entered the green room just now. So now's probably a good time to bring Rob up. We're going to let him introduce himself. We're going to talk a little bit about what he's running for, the position he's running for, who he's running against, what he stands for. The way I understand it, he is running to fill the seat that is going to be vacated by Loudermilk. I forget to remember his first name now.
He'll tell you.
Yeah, Loudermilk.
Hold on. Before we bring Rob up, do we really want to taint his candidacy with me ranting about Candace Owens?
Well, I think that's kind of what we've got. You know, that's what we've got. So Rob is actually in the green room. I see him down there, and hopefully he can hear us.
He can hear us.
He can. Yep. Okay. We see you down there, Rob. So we're going to go ahead and just get you a little bit of an introduction to Rob Adkerson, and then we're going to go ahead and bring him up for, 10, 15, 20 minutes. We'll have a good chat with him, let him know what he stands for, just like we promised. Hey, any other candidates out there that want to come up and talk to us and talk to our audience, let us know what you think about what you were running for. By all means, we'll bring you up. So just real quick, here's a quick introduction to Rob, and then we'll jump right into it.
I'm running for Congress. I realize that we can do this. We can actually do this and take common sense to Congress and take common sense to Washington, D.C. But there's 5 things that I need from everybody, okay? Number 1, your prayers. Number 2, do all the things on this post. If you don't follow me, but share the post and comment and let me know that you're on board. You support common sense. Number 3, go to voterobadkerson.com, scroll down to the bottom, and follow me on all the other platforms. I need followers on all platforms to help me get the message out.
All right, we'll go ahead and stop him there, and then we'll just bring Rob up and let him finish off. So that's Rob Adkerson. A quick little introduction. I think most of you, if you spend any time on TikTok, you've seen him there. But let's go ahead and bring Rob up. Rob, welcome.
Hey guys,
how you doing, sir?
I'm wide open, man. How's my mic? I don't know. It sounds a little loud.
Your mic sounds fantastic. We know you're a bit of an expert at this. All the time you spend on TikTok and TikTok lives and those debates. Well, you and I have been on panels before a couple of times. Good dude. Tell us about it, man. What are you running for? What's brought you out of the shadows and off TikTok?
Before I get into me, let me just say what an honor it is to be here with all 3 of you. SK is the class in the bunch, but. And I'm going to go ahead and admit,
Hold on a minute. Did you hear the show that her and Nom did last Friday? Did you hear all the potty mouth words coming out of her on Friday?
Wait, hold on. To be fair, I warned. I said, this is not the podcast. Tonight is not the podcast. If you have kids in the room, your kids need to leave the room or you need to turn it off. I warned everybody.
Definitely the smartest of the bunch.
Look, when you wake up and read the headlines in the morning, I don't know how anybody keeps their mouth clean nowadays. So,
I mean, I have a good heart, but I cuss a little, you know.
I'm not me, surely. But the last thing before I get into me, I'm gonna go ahead and admit something up front to you guys. Okay, I was probably a month in before I realized I was watching 2 different guys. Okay.
Well, at least you only made it a month. There are literally people still today who send me messages like, hey, there's this guy who looks just like you who's stealing your content. I'm like, no, and he's been making content for over a year and they still don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
look, guys, I appreciate you having me on. This has turned into a real thing. What a lot of people don't know about me is, as I built this, back in the 2024 campaign, I was completely anonymous. I wasn't even on camera. And that was because of my job. And it became clear to me, my path was going to be doing this and doing podcasts like you guys. And what folks didn't realize is that I've been for the last 11 years, chief of staff for Congressman Barry Loudermilk. And, when you're a chief of staff for the member, you're not the guy out front. Everything I do publicly has an impact on the congressional office. So I respected that through the 24 campaign. And then, as I started to realize what my future was, I have the relationship with Congressman Loudermilk that I said, look, this is going to be my future. So I'm going to start to get out there. I'm going to start to put my name out there. I never talked about my job. I never brought up even that I worked in Washington. I was just talking common sense. And I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I got off my couch back in the days when Glenn Beck did the 9/12 movement and the Tea Party movement started.
Same.
And that's how I ended up in that position, actually. Getting active and being active in politics. I started a 9/12 group that morphed into a Tea Party group because Obama wanted to fundamentally transform the United States of America. And the guy that I worked for, Barry Loudermilk, is one of the he's that guy who when I hear people say, well, they're all in it for themselves. They're all pizza. Well, I know for a fact that at least one of them is not. And that's why I've been with him and served with him for the last 12 years. And so he decided, and I've been pointing this out lately to the crowds because I've been going to forums as a candidate, and term limits comes up, and I can get into my beliefs about term limits, but most of them agree that for the House it's about 12 years. Some people say 6, but those same people ask me, we love Barry Loudermilk. Why is he quitting? Why is he quitting?
Yep.
I said, well, he's quitting at 12 years. Because he was never going to be a career politician. This is the guy that we want. He's term limited himself. So I've been in this fight for a long time, and when he hung it up, actually, again, this wasn't my plan. I had a list of really solid people that I could get behind, that I wanted to represent my family. I went to them one by one, and they came back to me one by one and said, "It's not the right time for me. Why don't you do it?" I said, "Because I don't want to. That's not my plan." But then the field started to shape up, and there was, there's some ambition in here, and excuse me, and there's some ambition in the race, and I've seen what Washington does with ambitious people.
Yep.
They like ambitious people in Washington, D.C., and they
They're
will swallow
easy to
you up.
taint. They're easy to corrupt. Yep.
Absolutely. If you've dreamed about being in Congress all your life, they're going to make your dream come true. But I've been serving in Congress and doing recon on the enemy for the last a little over 11 years, and I've never let DC into my blood. I've maintained my residence in the district where I'm from virtually all my life. And I want to, I've stepped up, and over the last couple of weeks since we got in the race, God has really demonstrated to me. When I first announced, I wasn't completely sure yet, but God has demonstrated to me that, yeah, this is the right thing. So we are in it 150%, and we've got a lot of momentum. We've got some good, solid people that have come on board and endorsed me, and our support. The folks that supported my boss before, I have great relationship with them. They're all on board.
Awesome.
And we've got a legitimate chance to take this thing to Congress. So,
yeah. So one of the things, I can attest, I had no idea that you were chief of staff to Congressman Loudermilk until today. In fact, I told my brother PatriotDad, I watched the video and I'm like, holy crap, that's why he's doing this. He actually worked for Barry, because I asked him, I said, is that MTG's old seat 11? So I looked it up and I was like, no, it's Barry Loudermilk. And then I saw your video where you basically said, yeah, I've been his chief of staff but that just is a testament to me that you've not let DC get into your blood, because all your time that I've seen you on panels, and we haven't interacted a ton, but I never had any idea that that's what you did for a living. It certainly, you didn't lead with that at all.
no.
Yeah, I didn't either until today. And I just wanted to say, you can let Loudermilk know that my favorite work of his is the investigation into the J6 Select Committee. I reference that every single day on TikTok Live, debating J6, because that's all they wanted to talk about for like 3 years.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I've been right there at the tip of the spear. One of my biggest regrets in this whole process of having to leave is that we're not quite finished, and the report is going to be coming out before the end of the year. But in order to run for this seat, I had to basically resign, fire myself, and run. And so that means I couldn't continue in the investigation. That's not to say I don't know what's going on. I've still got my connections. I know what's happening up there. But I've been right there the entire time that we have deconstructed the sham Pelosi committee and everything that it was. So. But yeah,
that you guys have done a great job with that. I mean, how do you feel about them finally getting the pipe bomber? Or do you think they got the pipe bomber?
I will. I'm going to reserve on that one, because I'm
That's
outside
fair.
of it now.
That's
I'm
fair.
outside of it now, and I know folks is going on, so I'm going to reserve comment on that one. What I can talk about is all the things that we did prove, which was Donald Trump did approve the National Guard. Chief Son of the Capitol Police called for it 3 days before, and Nancy Pelosi turned it down. Yeah. What I can tell you is that the select committee put out an 800-page report with our tax dollars that mentioned Donald Trump thousands of times, and it mentioned the pipe bomb 5, and they were all in footnotes. They never investigated the pipe bomber.
Yeah, and what about those people that pushed that whole ass bundle of lumber onto Capitol grounds at like 6 a.m. something in the morning on January 6th?
Now you're getting into the thing that's near and dear to me, because I've been trying to track those dudes down.
Yeah,
you'll never convince me that those were MAGA people at all. I
know
know exactly when they came onto the first camera.
No,
Well,
look at
Rob,
their shoes,
there's-
look at their clothes. Those people were not MAGA people there for that at all. And they pushed a whole bundle of lumber. And I have copies of all of the permits for protesting. It even says there are no structures allowed on Capitol grounds. Yet these people pushed a whole ass bundle of lumber at 6 something in the morning on January 6th, erected that structure except for the crossbar and the rope, went and got coffee, came back, put up the crossbar and the rope. And nobody said anything on any communications, no Capitol communications, no nothing until 9 something in the morning on January 7th. Get out of here. Get out
Hey,
of
You
here.
know what? But you know what they did do on the east side of the Capitol that day? Some dude tried to pull up there with a little barbecue grill and sell some hot dogs, and they were on him like this
On him.
instantly. You got to get out of here.
So tell me those people were somehow MAGA and were like actually doing that because they believed it. And that's the one picture that perfectly frames the Capitol that's everywhere, that everybody, that's the photo from January 6th that everyone remembers with the noose hanging down. No,
Yep.
I don't believe it for a
Yep.
second.
Well, I
No,
mean, you
they-
shouldn't believe it because there's also video, and I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm sure you did. I don't know if it's part of your report. If you can't talk about it, that's okay. But I know I saw the video. I saw the video of Antifa changing their outfits in the middle of the grass next to a bus, putting on their Trump gear as they were getting ready to march over. I saw the video of Antifa inviting people to January 6th, getting them hotel rooms. They were proud about it. They were talking about it. We know that Antifa was embedded in that crowd. We know it because we saw it on video. And then suddenly that video just disappeared until Elon Musk took over Twitter or X now, and it started to show back up again.
Yep. And so I will reserve because the work still continues. I can just tell you that there's a lot of stuff still to come, and there's a lot of work still being done. So, I will also tell you that the will to get to the bottom of this has been disappointingly non-existent from a lot of people, and not just to Democrats. So, I mean, that's been one of the biggest frustrating things for us. We've done this now under 2 separate committees and subcommittees and different things. And one of the, if God sees fit that I get this pin, I'm going to be much more free in what I say coming next year. So we'll get to it then. But there is going to be more to come, and more work that's being done on that right now.
So let's do this, Rob. I want to lay out some foundational stuff, and I have a couple of quick questions for you. So what part of Georgia does Georgia 11 cover?
So we're northwest. So you mentioned the MTG replacement race. Clay Fuller is the Trump endorsed candidate in that race. They are right next door to us, between me right now and Alabama.
Okay.
It goes down to kind of the west coast of Georgia. This district is basically, if you're familiar with Atlanta, I-75 goes from Atlanta to Chattanooga. It goes right through the middle of this district.
Okay.
So we have 3 full counties and 2 60% counties. Cobb County is a big county in Georgia, and Cherokee County, which I'm very familiar with in this area up in the north as the more rural part. But so it's I-75 corridor out of Atlanta.
Got it. Now, one thing that you touched on, specific to the J6 investigation and the lack of will from some Republicans, it feels like, to actually get to the bottom of it. That seems to be an epidemic in this Congress, where it doesn't actually feel like the people that we put into office, whether they're from Georgia, whether they're from Ohio, Mississippi, wherever, it doesn't feel like these people are actually there to push the agenda that we voted for. How are you going to deal with an environment where it feels like people are actively working against the American people?
Well, and so it's not. There are members who go up there with good intentions. Here, the deal is, and here's what I've learned over these 12 years. So as an activist beforehand, a conservative activist, I knew when I woke up in 2009-ish, 8-9, I actually woke up when somebody in the Bush administration said we had to abandon this free market principles to save the free market. And I was like, wait a minute, what? So that's when I actually originally woke up. And so I knew that this behemoth of a federal bureaucracy was something that the founders feared and hated and wanted not to happen, but it happened. It's a beast. It's a self-preserving, self-healing entity that stands its own, and most regular Americans, to their benefit, don't understand, but to our country's detriment, we're going to have to make them understand, because It existed in the natural form that founders were afraid of. But then Barack Obama, a dedicated Marxist revolutionary, came into office and he weaponized that thing. And he implanted his people, his Marxist revolutionaries, into that federal government bureaucracy permanently. He went beyond political appointees and he made it that thing. Washington, I've talked to people. I said, basically, I've spent 11 years doing recon on the enemy. And the enemy is, when I say the enemy in Washington, most of us think of Nancy Pelosi or AOC or Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell or some of the people on our, Republicans and Democrats alike. They're just the face of a faceless machine. And, and I'll get into real quick part of what I want to do with this. And it ties into all this Somali fraud, Somali daycare fraud, the hospice fraud in California. And we can find this stuff in every state, even the red ones.
Oh, yeah.
Less so because the state governments have more control over the money they spend and they kind of police it a little better.
I don't know. I'm in Ohio and it's pretty nasty in Ohio too. There's a huge Somali community in northern Columbus and I would be willing to bet it's as bad as what you're seeing in Minneapolis and Ohio too.
But
well, and the thing is this. So if you track every dollar that went to Somali daycares and then eventually to Somalia, it started as a paragraph in a bill in Congress. Our Constitution says Congress has to spend all the money. What they've done over these last many decades is they've figured out that if, for example, you remember when Nancy Pelosi said we have to pass the bill to find out what's in it, and everybody, including myself, thought she meant they don't read the bills. That's not what she meant at all. Do you remember the old Mad Libs game? You would fill in the blanks and it have no context and it would be a very funny story. That's what these bills are. And that's what she meant. She said, we have to pass this bill to get it over to Kathleen Sebelius, at Obama's HHS director, so she can write the bill. And the reason they started to do this was because they know if they had filled in those blanks before the vote, they would have been held account for what what was in there. That's what she really meant. And so this is what I want to do. And it starts to get to this monstrosity of a federal government, a federal bureaucracy, is that Congress, and listen, Antonin Scalia told a room full of Republican congressmen one time, he said, if you don't want us, these things keep falling out, man. He said, if you don't want us to keep interpreting your laws, do your damn job. Right. Write the bills like you're supposed to write the bills. Stop dumping it off and letting us and the bureaucracy figure it out. And that's what we need to do. Every dollar that went to Somalia daycare fraud started as a little paragraph that said, we love daycares and we want people to have access. Here's $10 billion, bureaucrats, write the bill.
Right.
That's what happens. And that's what I want to expose that. I want to push Congress back to writing the bills like they're supposed to and take responsibility for how you're spending our money and write into the legislation intense sunlight and oversight over our tax dollars.
Well, isn't that what the Supreme Court ruling on Chevron deference is going to force Congress to do? Right. I mean, because prior to that, basically the Congress had given the bureaucracy the ability to just make up their own rules, to do whatever they want. Congress has said, we want to give the bureaucracy the ability to govern on our behalf because we're too feckless to do it ourselves. And then the Supreme Court came in and said, no. You're going to have to actually write laws the way they're supposed to be written. So it feels like they've kind of created a pathway for you to be able to come in and legislate that way.
Exactly. A lot of fantastic stuff has happened that doesn't make the Fox News headlines. There's no breaking alert. There may have been one mention of Chevron deference on Brett Baer's show at some point, for geeks that pay attention to policy. But that was a monumental decision, and it does open the door for people like myself. And one of my favorite people up there is Tim Burchett, the Carhartt congressman. I want to be that guy. You guys know that I'm in front of this video and I'm doing the videos. I want to be that guy. I know him. He's a great guy. But I want to become basically compadres with him so we can start to build that caucus of people who are the sunlight caucus, who are taking the information to our voters, taking the people in front of these screens into the recesses of Congress and exposing what's going on.
I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you're aware, but you should look in Georgia when you're looking. looking at fraud and thinking about all of the fraud, look at the immigration pipeline, look at all of the organizations that support the immigration. See if you have an immigrant welcome center, and what all organizations are upheld and pushed in there, because we have found a lot of fraud, and we've basically found a huge pipeline for not just the immigration and all the people coming here, but also the dollars. The amount of money that goes into this is insane, and they help people get benefits. They help them get a place to live. They help them do all of that. They get them free classes to learn how to speak English. They get them jobs. They do all of these things. And the amount of money that goes in there is unbelievable.
So
There's so much
is
fraud.
Clarkston, Georgia on your radar?
I haven't looked really at Georgia that much. I did see Ohio, and I don't remember all the states that signed on to the immigration compact. You might want to see if Georgia signed on, because I know Ohio did. Ohio, Maine. I can think there's like 11. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but look up the immigration compact that was signed. It's all the UN pushing all of their crap onto the United States. The immigration is one of those pipelines. There's several different. It's way too much to get into here, but
I would suggest you start looking to Clarkston, Georgia. That's just one, but it's a huge refugee population. The mayor is a far left, indivisible guy. If I was going to look for that in Georgia, I would start with Clarkston.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have the welcome centers, all of those immigration organizations, I think it won't be too long before you might see some really big people making videos about it, and it'll be moved on from the hospice fraud and the daycare fraud and those types of things, and it'll be the immigration fraud.
I have some bad news for you, Rob. Yes, Georgia has endorsed and joined the UN Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration. I mean, as someone who's putting together a platform, this might be something that you're going to want to start hammering, because anytime the UN is coming into your state and they're trying to help define what regular migration means, it's not good for your state or the country.
No, I'm for dissolving
I don't even
the UN.
know. I don't even know how it's legal for these states to be signing this compact.
Did I hear you just say that you're for dissolving the UN?
Absolutely, 100%.
I love that.
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah. Well, I think not only are we going to be dissolving the UN, I think we're probably going to get very close to dissolving NATO very soon too. But that's a different conversation for a different time, I think.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question real quick about how do you plan to do anything about like campaign finance or the foreign influence, the foreign money influence on U.S. NGOs that then influence policy and campaigns? Do you have any ideas as to how that can be fixed? I don't know if you watched the hearing.
So there are conversations that need to be had about campaign finance. My experience with that goes back to McCain-Feingold, which was a disaster. It was an attempt to do something. So part of my philosophy is, I want to keep continuing to put this responsibility back on the people that run this country, and that's us. Mm-hmm. The problem is most of us don't realize it's us. A lot of these problems that we talk about, like with term limits. I mean, I'll just not to jump the subject, but I'll come back to this. But term limits. If our founders knew that we were excited about 50% turnout, 60% turnout, they'd roll over in their graves. And the further down the chain and the closer to home it comes, mayors, city councils, county commissions, school boards, the turnout is 20, 30%. 34% turned out to elect a communist to run New York City. So 18% of that city elected this guy. For you other 64%, 65% that didn't go to vote, it's your problem. You sat on your ass and you didn't go vote, and now you have a communist running your city. So with campaign finance, I feel like when we talk about elections, until we have people who understand self-governance and get out and make these decisions, it's so easy during campaign season to get face-to-face with people like me. Shake hands and look me in the eye and see where I'm coming from. But we have a very lazy populace, and that's how we got to where we are. People are not participating in self-governance. And if we did that, I believe in the American people as a whole, if they weren't apathetic, their common sense, logical people who want freedom and they want to be left alone and they want to raise their family and do all these things. The problem is they don't understand, because our public education system has stripped us of civic education, and they don't understand that we're the ones governing this country. We
And
wouldn't have to
that's the
pass a
term
million
limit.
laws if people would just participate.
Yes, that's the term limit. Voting is the term limit. That's how you put a term limit on it. You vote them out of office. You primary them. You find somebody to run against them, and you get them out of office.
And I will say, this is my answer to that term limits question: is I don't like you just said. I agree with you, but given the state of our country, if we need to have a term limit, I'm open to that conversation as long as we can talk about term limiting staffers and bureaucrats.
Amen. Because staffers and bureaucrats really are where the power is held. I mean, that is the one thing that the left has understood for a very long time. If you can embed your ideology in the actual framework of government, not necessarily in the halls of Congress, but the people who actually export government across the country, then you can control government. That's why they were all so upset when Donald Trump came in and started slashing federal jobs, because they recognized that the people that they had embedded in the trenches, the ones who are actually reading the regulations or are enforcing the regulatory environment, that's where the communists live. They get it.
And I'll tell you that it's a carousel. It's a musical chairs. These folks go from the bureaucracy to the committee staff to K Street, and then back to the bureaucracy, and then back to the. Sorry. I didn't want to put on the headphones, so I went and dug out these are actually my Delta, they hand them out free when you're on a flight. So, but that's the deal. I mean, it's a carousel up there. And the problem I've seen is these kids come up there to intern out of college. They're on a different path in life, but they come to Washington and it's highly addictive. So now they're going to change their major. And I want to go work in Washington. And then they go up there as a 20-something and they never leave.
Yeah. So Rob,
they probably get sexually harassed all the way while they're there to a ridiculous degree. And
not in our office.
I'll take
none of that.
Yeah,
Rob,
none of that in my office.
I believe that.
I eventually want to kind of hear you lay out your platform. Let's do that first. Kind of talk to us a little bit. Everyone has a platform. Talk to us a little bit about the things that you are currently campaigning on.
So, okay, well, the top three I would say is, in considering the situation that we're in, Donald Trump has 2 years left. I have been up there for 10 years. I've proven that I'm not going to be part of Washington, D.C., but I can tell you that as new members of Congress come in, they don't know their way around the halls. They have to staff up. They don't know what's going on. They surely can't get anything done because they don't have any relationships. I know the people in Congress that actually are on our side, who are truly America first. And I mentioned Tim Burchett. There's others, and including the people who are not elected, who are truly on our side. So for Donald Trump's sake, in his final 2 years, and listen, we all have to pray and work and tell everybody, we have to hold on to the House and the Senate. But if we can hold on to the House, then the next 2 years will be great. But he needs somebody in there who's ready to stand with him on day one. The other part of the next 2 years is that we're going to be electing his successor.
That's right.
Who's going to carry this on? Okay.
Yep.
People are impressing us. A lot of people talking about Marco Rubio right now. Obviously, J.D. Vance is in line and do the thing. A lot of questions, and we need to vet all of these people. Nobody needs to be just crowned as the successor, but we need people in place who are who understand the reality of Washington and who we can trust and who are willing to tell the people what they know about Washington. The main part of my platform is I want to get on oversight. I want to do the work that we just talked about. I want to get Congress to write the bills, but I also want to continue and genuinely investigate all of these NGOs and all of these programs and all the money that goes out of Congress, because I think there's enough fraud there that we actually could start to have a dent in our deficit and our debt, because that's how much fraud there is in the federal government.
I've done the math on this.
I think it's $1 trillion or more a year.
It's more than
Absolutely.
that.
A year.
No, it's more than that. I've done the math on this based on the Government Accountability Office reporting on this, who, by the way, I think is actually lowballing it, where they say it's between $500 and $700 billion every single year. And you're talking about at least 1/3 of our entire national debt today that we're saddled with is because of fraud, waste, and abuse. 1/3. And I think you can make a strong case, like SK said, that the actual amount of waste, fraud, and abuse is probably close to $1 trillion a year. Easily.
Absolutely.
Easily.
I think it's at least $1 trillion a year. And, I think it's really, really important whoever gets into Congress. And I hope that people in your district will vote for you and you get an opportunity to go there and represent your district and to make a difference in Congress. But I think it's very important that the foreign money be taken out of the NGO ecosystem, which is then, filtered back to the politicians. We've done so much research on this, and the fact that the CCP and our actual adversaries have so much influence on policy in the United States is terrifying. And if you watch the hearing that they had in Congress a few weeks ago, it was very under the radar. Nobody watched it. There was no one in there while it was going on. It was completely empty. And even the Congress were not in there the whole time. They were all out and they would just come in to ask their question and then they would leave again.
That happens all the time.
That was one of the most important hearings that I've heard in a long time. And they flat out admit that, yes, there are foreign countries that are basically have control over some aspects of our domestic policy, because they are putting so much money into these organizations. You can have entire NGOs that are owned and funded solely by foreign dollars, and it's not illegal. They register an NGO in the United States, and they run these NGOs, and they put all of this money in there, and then they just filter it right down to the protesters, to the entire color revolution ecosystem.
And I'm absolutely in favor of doing something with that. The way that I figured out this thing works, and I don't know, I think it was Grover Cleveland who said politics is downstream from culture.
That's
so
right.
the beginning of this is what Nick Shorty did in Minnesota. What you're talking about right now, SK, is getting it exposed and getting the wind to blow back at Congress, because politics is downstream from culture. So first we expose it, and then we find the motivation in Congress to make it, to actually do something about it. And I absolutely agree. I don't support any foreign money influencing our politics at all.
Yeah.
So
Rob, can I take this in a slightly different direction? So I think, Rob, one of the challenges that you are going to face in this campaign is a massive headwind that seems to be, at least in my estimation, is this inorganic rift that some people are trying to create within the MAGA base. You've seen the content. You know about all the demons of propaganda. You know what they're doing. You know they are actively trying to destroy the agenda by redefining the agenda that we voted for. And you made a comment in your answer a little bit ago, and I want to press on that just a tad. You talked about America first. I think in my opinion, one of the things that any legitimate candidate is going to need to be able to do is to accurately define what they mean when they say America first. Can you talk just a little bit about your definition of what it means to actually be America first in this current environment that we're in right now?
Well, on a serious level, on an adult level, I think there's all these interpretations out there, and I think some of these black pill people and the people that you were talking about before I came up here, the influence is very obvious based on their line of attack. The people that are influencing their attacks is very obvious to me. America first to me is policies that benefit America first. That doesn't mean everything that we do is going to just be America. We live on a globe. We live in a world where this communist this idea of communism, and see, we get into trouble when we start to frame communism as, oh, that's a communist country, or that's a communist country. It's a mindset.
That's right.
And in a different podcast, when I have much more time, we can go back to the 1890s and go into Woodrow Wilson and all the damage that he did to our country from that progressive, which is also the root of the communist mindset. So we to pretend that America first means we're not getting involved. We're not talking about this. We don't have to worry about what's going on in Israel. We don't have to worry about what's going on in China. We don't have to do all these things. Is juvenile and ignorant, in my opinion. America first means we have to fight on the battlefield of reality. I think Sun Tzu said some things about, you don't get to fight on the battlefield you wish you had. You got to fight on the battlefield that's in front of you. And then we live on a planet where people want to end individual liberty. They are communists. They are collectivists. And I can take this all the way back to a spiritual level, which is actually, I'll say that's the first time I actually ever saw SK was the night you, Patriot Dad, had the prayer, or the week, the
Yeah.
times that we were praying for the election.
Yeah.
And we're here now. Those prayers are answered. And
Yeah.
you know, that was my first interaction that I actually saw SK. But America First for me is a group of serious people, leaders in the country who understand the reality, and we have to make decisions that put the citizens of this country first. There's a gross interpretation of that means we're not to look outside our borders, or we're not to, you know, these kind of things it doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
It's denying that we live on a globe where there are dark forces that want to end our individual liberty.
Yeah. I love that answer. It's so well articulated. I would encourage anyone running for Congress right now to be fully prepared to explain why it is America first to remove Maduro, why it's America first to strike Iran before they can drop a nuke or a ballistic missile on top of Israel, why the Abraham Accords are in fact America first. Because if you can articulate that in a way that the average voter who is not motivated right now to get up off their butt, that's a game changer. If people understand that you cannot leave the Middle East without leaving a framework for regional control, then it's going to turn into a powder keg. We have to be able to explain that to people so that these black pill idiots can't run the conversation the way they've been running it.
Well, and look, so, you know, I referenced those prayer sessions that you had for Donald Trump to be elected. They were powerful. They were awesome. And what we're seeing now, and I think you guys are in the same, SK is probably younger than all of us, but we're in the same age range where Iran has been wreaking havoc on the planet for our entire lives.
Yep.
And before when I was a child, I may have had 4 or 5 years when Iran was actually a very cosmopolitan country, an advanced country. They were the most advanced country in the Middle East. And now we've got a president who is ending this. It's like we've been kind of nipping around the edges. All the presidents want to nip around the edges, and we want to stop the Houthis, and we want to stop the Hezbollah and Hamas. Why don't you cut off the head of the snake?
Amen.
Which is what we're doing right now. And the world's gonna look back on this in 100 years and say this is one of those moments. And most of the time in history, the people that are living in that moment don't really understand the gravity of that moment. And that's where we are right now. So there's a handful of us, I think, that have some sense of it, but I don't think we can even grasp how big this moment is.
I love it. And Joanne Freeman, and I also saw who else made this comment. I think it was hold on, let me find it. I want to make sure. Anyway, I know that Belinda, I believe, is that who it was? Anyway, we are going to be bringing back the prayer lives, and we're going to be bringing them back here relatively soon once I get back home and get settled and all that stuff, because you're right. We need to get to a place where we are praying people back into a place of full awareness of what's happening into this country.
Well,
There's been a spiritual cloud that has been layered over top of a political system that has to be broken, and we're going to have to be the ones to do it. So we will.
yes, I feel like we have a whole population that needs discernment. Like when something happens, like it's like nobody's following their faith. I mean, again, you guys, I cuss a little. I'm not perfect. I mean, I cuss a lot. I'm not perfect. But there are things that come with having a relationship with the Lord and praying and all of that, and having people around you that are good people. Discernment is one of those things that comes with that. And it's extremely important. If you're going to turn the TV on, or if you're going to get on social media, you need to have some discernment to be able to tell what is true and what is not true. And if you don't have discernment, you're just going to be completely lost, and you're going to be led the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I won't get into the full story that you mentioned, discernment, but I mean, part of the story that is too long to tell about how I ended up in the position that I've served in the last 11 years was I actually went out to the Navajo reservation with my daughter. Spirit worked on me the whole time. I came back, I told my wife, we got to give our life to the Lord. We're supposed to be missionaries. And we started rearranging our life. I thought he was going to send me to the Navajo reservation, not Washington. But I have met multiple people who he plucked all over the world and sent to Washington. But to speak to SK's thing about discernment, I learned this a long time ago. When you pray for wisdom and discernment, you better pray for courage and boldness, because when you get the discernment, you're probably going to be called to do something that's going to take courage and boldness.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes, I always say I have a sticker, a little sticky note on my mirror in my bathroom. It's been to 3 different houses with me. It's been up there for probably 15 plus years. And it says, do not ask God to guide your steps if you aren't willing to move your feet, because that's exactly what that reminds me of. When you pray for those things, you need to make sure you pray for also
Absolutely.
the things that are going to have to support what's going to teach you those things.
Yep.
Amen. Amen. All right, Rob. What do you want to leave us with here? And is he going to stick around for the show? Or?
No, I think we've got some content that maybe Rob doesn't want to be associated with as he's running the campaign. I don't know. We'll see.
What I would say is what I have to say, and it is this for conservatives is in the battlefield that we live in. This is I have to go say vote RobAdkerson.com. The Democrats and some of these Republican opponents, these ambitious Republican opponents, have a lot of money. And unfortunately, it takes money to get your name out into voters and to get the name out there. So, vote RobAdkerson.com, folks. Like I said in one of the videos, if you folks can give whatever it is, it helps. It's just a reality, and we can get back to the finance, the campaign finance part, but it does take money to get your name in front of people with a text message or in the mailbox or and TV's out of the question in this district. We're in the Metro Atlanta district, and I'm not ever going to get anywhere near getting on TV. But I do have to introduce myself. So if you support, if you want to help me try to get there, I have to ask that you go to the website. And but even more so, and I've said this also in the videos, if you can't give, I completely understand that. I came from a very, very poor family growing up. If you can pray, that's free, and that's very much appreciated that you pray over this whole thing, and not just my race, every race across the country. The good people that are running for Congress need your prayers, and we need a miracle to hold on to the House and Senate so that we don't descend into chaos the next 2 years in Donald Trump's last 2 years.
Amen. Amen.
So.
Yes, and guys in the comments, you don't have to be in his district to help. You don't have to be in his district to donate, but you don't have to be in his district to make phone calls, to call people. And if you live in the district, you don't have to donate money. You can just pick up the phone and call the people running in your area. You can call and talk to them, find the one that you think represents you the best, and offer to help them however it is that you can help. You'll find that very quickly you'll become very close with your candidate. And when they win, they'll call you and ask you for all sorts of things, ask you to look at legislation. What do you think about this legislation? All kinds of things. You'll get a direct access to your representative. You just have to reach out and you go knock doors for them. You can make phone calls, send text messages. You can do all things to help.
Yep.
And they don't even have to be in your district.
And look, there's going to be 40, 50, 60 people coming in with me, new members of Congress, because of all these people that are retiring. So It's going to be a big new class. And so it's important that all those people in those districts go out and find the right person.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Rob, I'm going to ask you to make one promise for me, if you don't mind. When you get to Congress, when SK hands you a dossier of NGOs that needs to be investigated, make it happen, please.
yes.
I don't know if you've been following this podcast, but the amount of information that SK and Lisa and Data Republican and this group of investigators have been creating, it should topple some massive organizations. We just need people to do something with it.
I'm here for it, and we'll stay in touch. I mean, you'll be, like you said, let's do it. I mean, I'm ready to dig into all that stuff, and 100%.
I mean, people should be in jail after the stuff that we found, and we just need people to make that happen. So, all right.
Fantastic.
Guys,
listen, thanks for coming up. Hey, your primary is May 19th. Is that right?
May 19th. Early voting starts April 27th.
All right. Well, listen, you've got my phone number.
Vote.
If you ever want to come back on, by all means, send me a text message, and we'll have you back on.
If I ever want to come back on, if I get elected, we're going to make it a weekly segment. How about that?
Heck
There we go.
Heck yeah.
We'll do
We
it.
can talk about it. Guys, thanks. It's a real honor. Again, I'm huge fans of all three of you guys, and I appreciate you having me on.
We're huge fans.
God bless.
Thanks for coming.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
See
See
you.
you.
That was awesome. Super cool.
That was great.
I mean, I'm impressed. So I've seen his content from a distance, and he's always made really good content.
I had no idea.
I'm impressed.
I had no idea, just the the sort of the depth of understanding, like the Constitution of history of Grover Cleveland and Woodrow Wilson and his role, and Sun Tzu. The guy's a well-read, well-educated person, and it's very impressive.
Yeah. And we're going to freaking need it, right? We are going to need people in Congress who understand the fight that we're up against. I mean, there is no doubt now that we have foreign agents operating in this country specifically to divide this country right down the middle and destroy the MAGA agenda. And if you don't have people in Congress who understand what's happening and are willing to take the fight to them, I mean, it's finished. It's finished. I mean, you've got these idiots. Did you guys see? Can we show the Marjorie Taylor Greene video?
We can. Before we do that, I want to say thank you to MAGA Jake and to Guarding the Grid. I asked when I was talking to Rob about coming on. I said, hey, Rob, send me a couple of your TikTok videos, your campaign videos. And I went straight to MAGA Jake and Guarding the Grid. And I said, hey, guys, would you guys be willing to work on putting together a sizzle reel for them? And these guys turned 2 of them around in like 12 hours. You guys did fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm sorry we could only play a small piece of one of them. They were great. I showed them both to Rob. He's like, let's cut it down to like 15 seconds and let's get to the conversation. I'm like, by all means. So thanks, guys. Literally appreciate it.
Love it. All right. So did you guys see this? So one of the reasons why I think that we just need to be done with these a-hole propagandists, and you guys all saw the Ian Carroll thing. You saw the Project Slob Constitution guy. You saw that. Did you see what Marjorie Taylor Greene did today? SK, did you see this?
I did. I did.
She posted a video. Holy crap. Guys, if you haven't seen this, we need to show it real quick. Can you play this? Is there audio? I don't know if there's audio. I don't think it matters. So here's the tweet. Heartbreaking. This is what we thought MAGA was going to end. We believed Trump would end it because he told us he would. This is Trump's new MAGA, and I want nothing to do with it. Pray for our troops because Trump is sacrificing them in Israel. Holy crap. The problem, Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you're a freaking potato, is that video was actually from 2017. That was from 2017. Marjorie Taylor Greene, former congresswoman, turncoat, traitor to the American people, decided to, and it was so bad that Sarah Adams of all people. Am I muted? Sorry. Am I muted?
Go.
Are we
No,
muted?
you're not muted.
Okay. That's Army Special Forces Warrant Officer Sean Thomas, a Green Beret, who died on February 2nd, 2017 in Niger. Take this down immediately. Last I checked, that video is still up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is still pushing that video. It's disgusting. It's absolutely horrifying. And then there was this, and we're going to move off of this here real quick. Did you guys see this? My social media platform was overrun while I was on vacation with people telling me that Bibi Netanyahu's dead.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Well, yeah. Yeah, he's dead.
Did you know, SK, did you know that Bibi Netanyahu is dead?
Yeah, we talked about this. Did you know that you have a wrinkle on your hand right here? That doesn't mean that your hand is AI. It means that you're human and you have a wrinkle on your hand.
There's entire cottage industries about like palm readings based on the wrinkles on your hands.
People are just actually
gypsies and like, carnival tricks and stuff like way before AI.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Well, Candace, I think this was today, as a matter of fact. Candace Owens, the queen of slop propaganda, the demon queen herself, thought that she had something. So Bibi Netanyahu posted a video with Mike Huckabee over in Israel just to prove, hey guys, I'm still very much alive. I'm still here. And show this real quick. Pay attention to what happens at the end of this video.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Good to see you. Thank you, Mike. Thanks. Take care.
They ain't gonna do that. Like I don't say ain't. That's a unique dialect, regional. ain't gonna do that. I don't know why these hyper produced videos feel very strange to me. You know, you don't really have to prove you're alive. Just be alive. You know, just be alive. Just go to a press conference, do what you used to do. So that's where this is going. This is kind of all this is going
Let's
on.
be real
Skylar said
here.
they're like posting more.
Hold on.
While you guys are listening to the rest of this, whatever bullshit is falling out of her mouth, let's remember that she's dogging on people saying ain't, and this bitch can't read a single word. She says debacle and whatever else she says. So yeah, this isn't your dialect, Candace, because these people can actually read.
All right.
We need the questionable
Hold on.
gardeners.
Hold on.
Thing.
We need to listen to the rest of this because this is epically hilarious. All right, now pay attention. Everyone turn up your volume. You need to hear this. You ready? All right. No, we can't. The Second Amendment, you can't, because this is one of the most satisfying ends to a clip you're ever going to hear. You ready? Keep playing it.
Content now. Where'd you say he was, Skylar? Like at the Air Force Base today, greeting people. I think that's happening while we're live on the show. But I wanted to give you guys a little background on where those rumors are coming from.
Own producer.
Okay. Yeah. People think that they've killed BB, or that BB was killed, and that they're using stunt doubles and AI, and they're now doing a lot to show that he is alive. So there's the background of that, guys. We will be right back after a brief break.
Oh my gosh. So Candace.
So did she just say he was dead and then say, but he's greeting people at an Air Force base?
No, SK, what happened is she tried to make the point that the video of, can you take that off? She tried to make the point that the video that they produced doesn't prove that he's not alive because it was overproduced. And her freaking producer was standing behind the camera saying, hey, Candace, just so you know, he's actually alive and he's actually out in the public right now. She got fact checked in real time by her producer. And then she tried to pretend like, well, it's other people who are saying that he's dead after spending the last 2 freaking weeks telling you that he's dead. Folks, if you're not done with these people, it's your own fault. Glutton for punishment. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to mute every one of them. I'm muting them. I don't need to see them. I don't need to hear from them. If their bots and their sock puppets show up in my comments, I'm blocking them immediately. I'm not dealing with them anymore. If their slop somehow pours onto my page and I think it's worth debunking because it needs to be debunked, we'll do that. But I'm done with these people. Instead, what I'm going to do is we're going to start to focus on the things that are going to win us the election. We're going to start to focus on the wins, like the things that are actually going well in this country. And the list of wins is legion at this point. It's massive.
You guys, she's having a rough time right now. Her husband's basically unemployed. I mean, he's been removed from the board of his polling and analytics company that his family contributed a whole lot of money to founding. I mean, she's having a rough time, okay?
Yeah.
It's
she's having a real rough time.
It's a rough time in the Owens household, Owens Farmer household.
Well, we may return back to Candace specifically because I got a sneak peek into a giant folder of stuff that we're going to continue to look through. And we may have to return back to her at some point. I know I've been teasing this for a little while. Once we feel like we're ready to talk about it, there was like 70 some stinking pages in that, like 70 pages. And we'll get back to her. But for now, I'm done. I'm done. We should all be done.
You keep saying that. How many podcasts, guys? Do we have any? Do we have any show archivists around here that can go back and find all the podcasts that Patriot Dad led the entire freaking agenda, the whole script, everything. Candace and I sat here and said, I don't want to talk about her. I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. I'm not going to be on this anymore. I'm done. But here we are.
There's a reason why now is the time to be done, because for months,
now you say you're ready to be done. A year ago, I was like, I want to be done with her.
I get it. I get it. You wanted to be done a year ago, but we had not sufficiently destroyed these idiots yet. And after the week that happened last week, after Ian Carroll got dragged around the internet the way he got dragged, and after the slobby Project Constitution guy got exposed for being a total slob, who, by the way, beats his wife.
Hold on.
Beats his wife.
By
Did you
the
know
way,
that?
Joe Kent follows Project Constitution.
Yes,
Fun
Yes, he
fact.
does. Hold on a second. So these people have not learned a lesson. Ian Carroll today, because we had Joe Kent, Ian Carroll's out there saying Tulsi is turning out to be one of the biggest letdowns of the administration. As DNI, she was perfectly positioned to make a difference. Instead, she seems to have joined the swamp. Hey, Ian Carroll, maybe she knows an awful lot of fucking intelligence that you don't know.
And
That you don't know anything about. Shut up.
And apparently Joe Kent didn't know a damn thing about either, because he was locked out of the rooms because nobody trusted him because he was leaking like a freaking faucet. Anyway, the reason why I think it is okay for us to pivot away from these sloppy propaganda, they're basically pig farmers. That's what these people are. They create slop for pigs and then they farm it all over the internet and they get paid for it. And I'm not going to contribute to their monetization of slop anymore. So I'm going to mute them. I'm going to block them because, and only because, we have absolutely destroyed every shred of credibility these people once had that allowed their slop to make it across the internet. I'm done. We've done our work. We've done our job. We have successfully, it took me 45 seconds to debunk Ian Carroll, who has millions of followers. It literally took me 45 seconds to debunk him. 45 seconds. That's it. All I did was I went to the internet and I pulled up the Palm Beach County detective report, the probable cause report that I had already read because I've actually read the files. And I was like, wait a minute, that's Haley Robson's voice. And how do I know that? Because I actually did the research on it. You did the research on it.
I did. I read it out loud on TikTok Live. I feel like I wasted so much time debating people on TikTok Live with receipts, reading things out loud. I feel like nobody listened. Nobody paid attention because they all repeat the same crap.
Those people weren't there to debate you. They were there to read talking points and then call you names when you didn't agree with them. Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. Folks, this is where we're at, right? As a show, as a podcast, I'm going to play this clip of Benny Johnson because he lays it out perfectly. Patriot Dad has said it. But at the end of the day, we didn't vote for any of these podcast bros and hoes. We didn't vote for any of them to be making decisions. We didn't vote for Joe Kent to be locked out of the room because he's leaking like a faucet and he's sharing information. And now, by all accounts, seems to be under investigation, which preceded his resignation. I told you in a video on TikTok yesterday that that's precisely what's going to end up coming out of this. Is that he was leaving. He was given an option: resign or be prosecuted.
Oh, he's going to be prosecuted.
He's going to be prosecuted now because he's out there running his fucking mouth. Now he's out there saying a bunch of shit that he's anyway. We didn't vote for Joe Kent. We didn't vote for Tulsi Gabbard. We voted for President Trump to make these decisions. And Tulsi Gabbard did her job today when she was out there at these hearings. When you got Democrats that are basically trying to get her to admit that President Trump ignored intelligence when that's not at all what happened. He has intelligence of things that were going on, and only the president can make the determination of what an imminent threat is and if it's our role or our responsibility to get involved. Nobody else can make that decision, not Joe Kent. Joe Kent can have an opinion. Actually, he's not allowed to have an opinion on that because he didn't have the intelligence because he got his ass locked out of the room months ago because he couldn't stop leaking the information.
That's right.
So
that's right. Joanne Freeman, real quick. I just want to address this real fast. I saw this over on X and I forgot to take a screenshot of it. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the overwhelming majority of Candace Owens followers are foreign accounts. The overwhelming, I think it was only like 2% of her followers on X are actually from this country. So the reason why we need to move on from her is because the only people that are trying to influence you are foreigners.
Yep.
Can you pull up the CNN? I want to show you guys this. Oh, hold on. What's this? We have what is this? A Rumble rant? No, it's okay. Super chat. Please tell Rob to get on Timcast. IR, is that
that's
in real
Timcast?
life?
That's Tim Pool's show. IRL.
remember that lady that was there to visit some in jail, and she said she needed money, and Dems needed to run under Republican. Oh yeah, that's right.
Can you put that that big 4K page bill to see horrors, huh?
Tammy, can you maybe like clear that up a little bit? I'm not really sure I'm tracking what you're saying there.
That's a pretty good side of super chat.
Yeah. We want to make sure we answer that.
Thank you, Tammy. And yeah, I want to know which bill you're talking about. So I know I'm not the technological genius, but I can have a friend do it for me.
Or Harry and folks, I don't know if you saw this or
I
not.
don't have that.
It's in there.
Do we have it? We have the video?
Yeah, it's in there. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I just want to prove to you right now that they are not having the effect that they think they're having. And that's why it's time to move on, because we have absolutely systematically destroyed the propaganda demons, the slop pig farmers. We've destroyed them so bad, nobody believes a word they say anymore, and they don't deserve our attention and our attention anymore. And we're going to prove it. So I don't know if you saw this, but earlier today on CNN, Harry Enton, who, believe it or not, actually does some really cool reporting over there. I think it's him and Scott, what's his name?
Scott Jennings.
Scott Jennings are really the only two people worth paying any attention to at CNN. The rest of them are just comedic entertainment. But listen to this. This is Harry Enton talking about some new polling.
Sometimes you look at the polling data.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you. And this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, okay.
No, hold on. Before you do that,
No,
no,
I have a question.
I have a
question.
I thought they said MAGA was dead.
Well, I mean, fine. They did. They said MAGA's dead. It's being fractured. I mean, Bongino's, the numbers just aren't true. There are no polls that show that. But I have a problem with 100%. A poll that says 100%.
Yep.
I do have a problem, and I mentioned this to PatriotDad when we were talking about this before the show. You know, trying to get
It was an
together.
NBC poll,
And I'm like, how is that even remotely possible? You can't get 100% of people to agree on the color of the sky, right? You can't. You can't get them to agree on anything. PatriotDad, please explain what is actually in the crosstabs underneath that data of how that happens, because that seems completely unrealistic, almost like CNN is actually trying to punk us or drag people or something.
They're not. That was an NBC poll. What NBC asked, they asked an overarching question: do you still support MAGA? That was the question that 100% of people who in 2024 voted for the MAGA agenda were asked, do you still support the agenda? And every single one of them said yes. Now, there were some other questions that were asked, like, what is your level of support for the attacks in Iran? It was about 90%.
Yep.
But here's the fascinating part, because the analyst, or Harry Enton, was actually talking to a reporter at CNN, and the CNN reporter said, well, of course, MAGA still supports MAGA, but it's a reducing or shrinking group of people. And he said, no, it's not. As a matter of fact, what that NBC poll told us is that in 2024, only 28% of Americans said that they were part of MAGA. And now that number is 30%. It's actually bigger today than it was in 2024. That's the takeaway, is that MAGA is actually growing, because people are starting to understand the agenda. They're starting to understand, and they're seeing the success of what Donald Trump is doing, and they're excited about it. So 100% of people who call themselves MAGA said, yep, still MAGA, which, by the way, is the exact opposite of what the slop idiots are trying to convince you of. They are losing, and that's why it's time to ignore these idiots.
This right here, this quote from Bill Maher, and he said this a while ago, I think. I don't know exactly when he said this, but this quote from Bill Maher is exactly why the MAGA base is actually growing, right? It's not shrinking. Because when you extract yourself away from just the Iranian propaganda that most of these sock puppet accounts are out there engaging with from the pig farmers. I actually love that. We're gonna they're pig farmers.
They're pig farmers.
They're basically pig farmers.
They're basically pig farmers.
Yeah.
They create slop and they farm it all over the internet. That's all they do. They're pig farmers.
Right. But people who understand or can look at it and be like, okay, that's weird. And then you get debunked and you're like, okay, I'm done caring about what they're saying. Is they can actually rationalize the value of taking out lopping off the heads of these 3 ridiculously chaotic and dangerous regimes: Venezuela, Iran, and Cuba, all in the matter of what, 3 months? 3 months, these regimes that have caused nothing but trouble everywhere that they've been. Venezuela, we know all of the laundering that goes on, the drugs, the black market, crude oil, everything that they're doing. We know what Iran has been up to. Iran exists to create higher energy prices. We already know that. We saw oh gosh, what's his name? Peter Navarro. I think we talked about it on Monday's show. Peter Navarro was telling us that simply because the Iranian mullahs existed, that it added an extra 5 to 15% on the price of crude during calm times, not when they're being chaotic. And every day it's a premium that you pay because of their chaos, right? So lopping the heads off of these snakes has so much. I don't know what you did. Why do you keep pushing? Stop pushing buttons. My goodness. Don't you get that off of there. No. Anyway, this is such an important detail that, sane people can actually understand that and they can comprehend it when they're not chasing around, stupid stories like Erica Kirk was born a boy and was transitioned when he was 2 years old. And now Erica Kirk at 16 was recruiting girls for Epstein when she lived in Arizona. And we have zero evidence that Epstein ever did anything in Arizona when she was 16.
New Mexico, not Arizona.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just dumb, guys. It's just stupid.
We're
It's
moving
just
on.
stupid.
We're moving on.
It's just dumb.
Because there's more important things to talk about. So on my ride over from Walt Disney World to actually right before I get in the car and we're heading over here yesterday, I am woken up to the news that Joe Kent, who, by the way, I had always thought was a huge supporter of Israel because that's what he's always said. I've always understood Joe Kent to be a pretty hawkish on the Iranian threat because there are literally mountains of receipts of his tweets and his public comments explaining the threat that comes from Iran. Suddenly, out of nowhere, seemed to change his mind. Like, just out of nowhere. And at first I think I texted SK and Nom and I was like, something's going on here. This seems very strange.
SK was the first one when she saw that resignation letter. She's the first one and said, this is not right. Something is wrong with this, because everything in that letter was the exact opposite of what what Joe Kent has publicly stated for years. SK, please. What was your reaction when you first saw that resignation letter?
My reaction was, yeah, something's going on. This isn't what it seems on the surface. And I really hope that people that are in a position to be able to know what's going on, because I felt like how I always joke around on TikTok when I'm debating and things. And I say, if I ever come out in full support of a Democrat, and I'm not joking, that means I'm being held hostage. And that's my cry for help. Like, you guys know, I'm being held hostage if I do that. And I felt like this letter read like this isn't actually what I'm saying type of a thing. But his actions since then have been a little questionable to me. And now I don't know. And I don't know what to think, because I don't fully trust anyone, including Donald Trump. I don't fully trust anyone in the government because it's the government. But I trusted Joe Kent. I mean, I didn't fully trust him, obviously, but I trusted Joe Kent. I was excited. I watched his entire confirmation hearing. I took notes.
I hear you. I know what's going on. I had this ability. I don't know where it comes from, but I have this ability to like read the tea leaves. And we have seen this probably a billion times in politics. Whenever you have somebody who's embedded in an organization or part of the bureaucracy and they are getting ready to find themselves in hot water, what is the first thing that they do?
They resign. They try to become a whistleblower. They run to the opposite party to protect them. Because now Joe Kent, by the way, who the left hated, like despised him for years, now he is their darling. Like everybody, CNN, everybody wants to talk to him. They're all he's going to get, all kinds of book deals. He's going to get paid for this.
As soon as I saw this letter, immediately I knew this guy's about ready to find himself in real trouble. And that's the reason why he flipped. Now, the red flag for every normal person should have been who he ran to. Because within minutes, maybe not minutes, on my car ride over here, and it was about an 8.5-hour drive, and I wasn't looking at my phone hardly at all, but almost immediately you start to see invitations from Candace Owens, from Tucker Carlson to show up on their show. The first 2 interviews that this guy scheduled are with the 2 people who have been actively trying to destroy the agenda that we voted for immediately. And then you start to see photographs of Joe Kent with Steve Bannon. And you start to see the background of Joe Kent's new wife. And then you start to find out that, you know what? Joe Kent has been leaking for a very long time. As a matter of fact, one of the first people, or as a matter of fact, one of the people that he's accused to have leaked to is Tucker Carlson.
Right.
So I asked the question, and it went absolutely viral with a bunch of bot accounts showed up and started trying to trash me and call me an Israeli and all that stuff. My simple question is, did Joe Kent get caught in a canary trap?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a great, you guys remember what a canary trap is, right? SK, do you remember what a canary trap is?
For those of you guys,
PatriotDad explained it in his video.
I explained it.
For those of you guys that don't know what a canary trap is, this is a tactic that is regularly used to figure out who the leakers are among you. So what happens if you think about it? Let's say that you have multiple stories, or you have a story, and you want to find out if I've got 4 people in my team and I know that one of them is leaking. I take a story and I create 4 minor deviations of that story, and I give each one of the people on my team a version of that story. And then whichever version of that story shows up in the media, that's your leaker. So I was not at all surprised to hear Joe Kent drop this letter a few days after Tucker Carlson comes out and tells the world that he has it on good authority that the CIA has been capturing his text messages and is preparing to prosecute him for FARA violations. And immediately when I saw his letter pop, I was like, boom, canary trap. Joe Kent, and look, I don't have any evidence of this yet. This is just my spidey senses, my 20-some years of studying this stuff. I guarantee you what we're going to find out is that Joe Kent was fed a line from the Trump administration to find out if he was still leaking. And that line that he was fed was the Tucker Carlson prosecution line. I know it.
Well, we've got.
I don't know it, but I know it.
We've got some information here, right? So it is confirmed that Joe Kent has had a problem leaking. Tucker Carlson is one of the people that he was accused to have leaked to before in the past. And frankly, we talked about this on Monday. There is zero chance that Tucker Carlson was caught off guard and he was surprised that the CIA or the intelligence community or even the ODNI would be able to view his text messages with people in Iran, because they are monitoring people in Iran. Now, your mask and all that stuff.
Hold on. The canary in
I
that
understand
story
was the CIA. Yes, it was the criminal referral from the CIA.
That was the canary.
For FARA violations.
That was the canary. That was the part of the story that was fed to Joe Kent. In my opinion, based on my years of watching this, that was the part of the story that was given to find out if, in fact, he was going to leak it. Yes. And guess what? It got leaked.
That little piece about the CIA putting together a criminal referral for FARA violations for Tucker Carlson and him communicating with people in Iran, which is how he states it. That right there is a very specific piece of information. I mean, one of two things could be happening there. Either yes, the CIA did unmask Tucker because of the both sides of the communication they were able to see. Understand the way that this worked, these 702 queries, right? So you're monitoring people in Iran, which the CIA is doing, and they have every legal right to do it. If a person inside
obligation,
they have an obligation to do it. If a person inside the United States is communicating with that person in Iran, the person's identity in the United States is masked. You don't know who it is. Now, if you see conversations or you see things happening in that communication that gives you probable cause to then go and seek a warrant to have that name unmasked through 702 queries, then you can connect who that person is in the U.S. with the other side of the conversation in Iran. So one of two things happens, right? Either the CIA sees the U.S. based person is actually behaving and acting as a foreign agent. They're not only conversing about what's going on in Iran, they're actually preparing to act as an agent of Iran within the United States government. Like, for instance, go into the Oval Office, into the White House, because Tucker has been in the White House a number of times recently, and then try to lobby the government to not try to start a war or attack or whatever Iran. So I don't know what the CIA, either the CIA did see that and the criminal referral was real, or that was the Canary.
That was the Canary.
The Canary.
That was the Canary.
That's a good point. Mr. Darcy said, I think when Tucker said Trump was going to announce that a war during his fireside chat, when he spoke around Christmas, Alex Jones said Tucker told him he had it on good authority. But also, do you guys remember when Candace Owens first started this coverage and I kept saying, you know, she gets so close to the truth and she touches the truth and then she veers off to it's the Jews? That's because of all the research that we were doing immediately after Charlie was killed. And I was talking about the UN and this pipeline and these groups that could have been influencing Tyler Robinson and things like that, right? Well, do you remember when Candace Owens said that she had reached out to the FBI and given them some information, and she'd reached out to some people, and the only person that called her back was Joe Kent, because that made my spidey senses stand up, because information was passed to Joe Kent and some other people in the FBI from things that we found as well. And I don't know. I just am feeling very betrayed because I really liked Joe Kent. I really trusted him and I thought he was going to be great in that position. I thought if anyone has the motivation to keep the United States safe and free of terrorism and to get these terrorists out of here, it's Joe Kent. I mean, he has a personal vendetta. I really believed in him, and this is just so disappointing to me. And, you know, I keep saying I'm going to hold reserve judgment until I hear officially, you know, that he was leaking or he was doing these things. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know that there's any other explanation. And I specifically remember Candace Owens saying she reached out to the FBI. I'm talking in late September, maybe very early October at the latest. She said she'd been reaching out to the FBI and to the Trump administration, and nobody was contacting her. The only person that reached back out to her was Joe Kent.
Yep. Well, it might explain this. So you guys remember this. FBI Director Kash Patel battles it out with Trump's counterterror chief over Charlie Kirk assassination probe. Another question that I have, and I think we're going to need to get to an answer to this at some point, is Joe Kent one of the people who was feeding information to Candace Owens? Because it's pretty obvious that he was trying to dig into the investigation that the FBI had, which, by the way, the FBI wasn't the one doing the investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder. The state of Utah is it Utah? It's Utah,
Yeah,
right?
Utah.
Yeah. The state of Utah is doing it. So, I mean, I understand why a director of counterterrorism would want to see those files. I get that. But what was he looking for, and what information was he then turning around and sharing? Because it wasn't that much longer after that we find out from, or that Candace starts sharing the narrative that the FBI had shut down the investigation into foreign influence. Where did that come from?
So he was leaking because he stated tonight on Tucker Carlson. I don't know if we have that clip. He stated tonight that he believed that the counterintelligence division at ODNI was actually had additional leads that they still wanted to investigate about foreign involvement in Tucker and Charlie's assassination. And he says the FBI shut them down. If that is verbatim what Candace started saying. So he was leaking that apparently. he was leaking that information to Candace because she's the one who was running with that information.
I mean, look, you guys saw this right before we went live tonight. This popped. Did you guys see this? I think we need to show it.
See what?
I just want to say, I think it was, let me see who it was. I got to scroll up. The comment about, it was the amazing Torah. Joe Kent got caught like Jake and Lonesome Dove, apparently running with the wrong crowd. Yep. You ride with the outlaws, you die with the outlaws.
I mean, that's right. Look, it's pretty obvious now who this guy's been hanging out with. He's been hanging out with Steve Bannon. He's been good friends with Tucker Carlson. He's been on Tucker Carlson's show multiple times, Sean Ryan's podcast, where, by the way, he was saying very different things just a couple months ago than what he's saying right now. If you go to the guy's Twitter account, his X account, it is absolutely littered with him driving the narrative that Iran is a threat to the American people, and specifically to our troops in the region. He has been consistent and clear about that for years. So for him to immediately run from the ODNI, resign, saying it's out of a moral stance, to me is total bullcrap. It was bullcrap the minute I saw it. I knew something is going on here. And then we find out that he is in fact leaked in the past, or allegedly leaked in the past, to Tucker Carlson. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, yep, canary trap, guy got caught. Yep. He got caught. And then as we were getting ready to go live tonight, we see this.
Which one?
Laura Ingraham.
Oh, this.
Yeah, we see this.
Sources are saying that Joe Kent, the former director of the United States National Counterterrorist Center, this is from Semaphore, he just resigned. He's now under FBI investigation for allegedly leaking classified information. And the investigation predates his departure. Congressman, your reaction to that tonight? Wow.
Well, there's a lot there, and I think that we need to let this investigation play out, but we shouldn't tolerate any leakers in the administration, particularly regarding classified national security interests and information. So we'll let this play out and see where it goes, but if he was leaking, he ought to be held accountable just like anybody else would be.
Yeah, that's right. So the key component there is that the FBI investigation was kicked off before he resigned, which is, I think, is something that I said in my first video on this on Tuesday, where I was like, I can guarantee you what happened here. He was, because of the leaking allegations that were now they seem to be confirmed, is that he was given an option. He was told, hey, resign or we will prosecute, or something along those lines. And I think now that the way that he's behaved since then, he's going to get prosecuted. He's trying to insulate himself with what he's doing with Tucker and what he's going to end up doing with Candace. He's trying to insulate himself and protect himself through the media from a prosecution, so that this becomes a witch hunt. This becomes weaponization.
I'm going to challenge you on one part. The part where you said that he was given an option, resign or be prosecuted. I don't think he was given an option of resign or be prosecuted. I think, my opinion, based on years of studying this, is he was told, you're being investigated. And his response was, holy crap, I need to protect myself. And the way that you do that, if you're in politics, is you flip, you betray the people that you've always been in their circle of influence, and then you pretend to be a whistleblower. And then, like you said, Joe Kent says, well, look, their attacks on me, their investigation against me is nothing but political.
Okay, fair enough. So Kay Pasta was saying that Tulsi, I didn't see this today. I was just, I was assuming that White House, Tulsi's denying that the White House asked him to
This
resign.
was purely a holy crap, I need to do something. And the thing that he did was ran to the Red Flag Brigade, the slot farmers, asked them to protect him. And now they will say consistently, they're only attacking me because I exposed the Trump administration for being beholden to Israel. It's the same game over and over and over again.
Sorry, guys.
That's what they're going to do.
This is the dumbest freaking idea, that Israel is leading Trump around the world by his nose. It is the most idiotic thing I have ever freaking heard anybody try to claim. No one leads President Trump around by anything. Now, I do believe, and we've talked about this before, I do believe that President Trump wholly recognizes that Israel may be our only actual friend and ally in the entire world.
Yeah, because they're the only ones who are fighting. Well, no, I actually think there's a couple of other people who are getting ready to line up to be our
Sure, but-
allies. I think Russia and China are just sitting in the wings waiting for some major deals to be made. I'm pretty convinced that the globe, the globalists, all the people that have been a part of NATO, have been part of EU, the Bank of London, the City of
UN,
London,
all
the
the
UN,
yep.
all
the
of
central
these
banks.
countries that have been sucking from the US taxpayer teat for decades have never been our friend. They've never cared about this country. And the only country that is willing to go shoulder to shoulder with us in order to break the globalist system is Israel.
Right.
So
And-
when
and-
Israel, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that the best thing Donald Trump could do right now, to expose all of this, is to completely pull out of the strait. I think that would be a genius move, and tell the rest of the world, tell Europe, look, you guys are gonna have to secure the strait if you want ships to flow through there. Europe, get after it, because I don't think they're capable, and I think it's gonna be very clear. I think that this will make it all clear.
Yep. Can I just say this, a little point of privilege? So I may be the only one of the three of us who was in a vehicle traveling like long distances. I went from Ohio down to Florida, which is about a 17-hour drive, filled up my gas tank in a big old gas guzzling SUV 3 times on the way down. And not one time, not even once, did I care at all about the fact that I'm paying $1 more a gallon for gas. Not once. I didn't care even a little bit. And when I saw that the gas price had gone up a little bit more when I came from Orlando to here, I didn't care either. Because you know what? And this is just me, you guys don't have to agree with me, I am okay paying a little bit more for gas so that we can finally break this globalist system in half. I'm okay with it.
Me too.
Because
I would
here's what I
sacrifice
know.
a whole lot more,
Oh,
actually.
yeah. Here's what I know. And Nom touched on this, and I'm so glad that you guys touched on this when I was gone, because it's such an important point. The chaos addition to the amount that we pay every single day for gasoline and have paid for decades, because Iran simply exists as a chaos agent, is anywhere from $5 to $15 per barrel, which is probably about 5 to 15% of the actual cost that you're putting into your gas tank. By the time this is all said and done here in the next few months, gas prices are going to be lower than they were when this started. The Iranian women are going to be freer than they were back in 1979. The Middle East is going to be controlled by regional powers according to the Abraham Accords. You're going to see Saudi Arabia be the destination point for most of the religious movement in the Middle East. You're going to see places like Qatar and the UAE and all of these countries in the Middle East that just want to advance their economies. They're going to be allowed to do that. You're going to see these countries start to align with Israel as they've been doing in the Abraham Accords, and they're going to be able to function as a functioning society for the first time in 50 years.
So that is all completely true. So I've got a really good friend of mine who's a British expat who's been in the United States for, I think, 20 years, maybe a little bit longer. I guess I've known him for more than 10 years now. So for a little bit longer. He became a U.S. citizen, I think, back in like 2018 or something like that. He texted me the other day. It was probably 3 or 4 days ago. And Nick, if you're listening, you know exactly what I'm getting ready to say. He said it is time for the U.S. to completely pull out of NATO, to completely dissolve it. Nobody in Europe is our friend at all. They are actually our enemy. They are getting ready to be nuclear-powered Islamist states very soon. And he needs to focus all of his attention, frankly, in the regional power center that is being created in the Middle East and securing the Western Hemisphere, which is precisely what Trump is doing. Understand what that means, right? That means that the people that have supposedly been our greatest friends and our greatest allies since World War I and World War II, even though there's been some shuffling around, those are the people who have taken the absolute most advantage of us as a country ever since then. And they are the ones who are actually creating, or at least profiting very significantly from the chaos that has gone down in the Middle East for years. Now, defense contractors in the U.S. have gotten super rich, and a lot of politicians in the U.S. have gotten super rich as well. The American people, and frankly, the people of London, the people of Europe, have suffered significantly. A lot of people got super rich at the top ends of those things, and Trump is the only one that's trying to solve it. Everybody in Europe, the power centers in Europe, they want to keep it going in perpetuity.
Yeah. Folks, I'm just going to, sorry, go ahead, SK.
Well, Kay Pasto, when I said that about the Strait of Hormuz, she said that Trump posted on Truth Social about that, and I went to his Truth Social to find it. I can't find it, so I'm not sure when it was posted, Kay Pasto. But an hour ago, Trump made an incredibly direct post on Truth Social. He said, Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Pars gas field in Iran.
Oh,
A
yeah,
relative-
LNG, yeah.
A
Natural gas.
relatively small section of the whole has been hit. The United States knew nothing about this particular attack, and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape, or form involved with it, nor did it have any idea that it was going to happen. Unfortunately, Iran did not know this or any of the pertinent facts pertaining to the South Pars attack, and unjustifiably and unfairly attacked a portion of Qatar's LNG gas facility. And then in capital letters, it says no more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case, Qatar, in which instance the United States of America, with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field at an amount of strength and power that Iran has never seen or witnessed before. I do not want to authorize this level of violence and destruction because of the long-term implications that it will have on the future of Iran. But if Qatar's LNG is again attacked, I will not hesitate to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Look, here's what people need to wrap their heads around. All right, folks, this is going to be really challenging for most people who don't understand, and you guys do, because this audience gets it. You guys are some of the smartest people on social media. You understand this, but the United States and Israel are two sovereign countries that are operating in their own self-interests. Okay, Israel has their own self-interests. Their interests are largely aligned with ours, but they have some deviations to that interest. The United States, we have our own self-interest that are largely aligned with Israel. And those two countries, us and Israel, are coming together to push our own self-interest. And where they deviate, you're going to see disagreements. Israel wants to do some things in Iran that the United States doesn't. So you're going to hear President Trump scold Israel and say, knock it off from time to time. Mm-hmm. You're going to hear that. You're also going to see Donald Trump do some interesting things with Russia and with China, because now you have the EU who's basically trying to stop Russia and Ukraine from making peace deals. The UK specifically.
Well, we know why. We know exactly why.
Right. So just the other day, the UK effectively said, yeah, we're not going to allow peace to happen. And I guarantee you what's going to happen is you're going to see President Trump, a sovereign president, and Russia, a sovereign country, start to work on things that align together. And you're going to see the same thing with China.
Well, people need to understand why the UK is trying to stop Ukraine from reaching a peace agreement with Russia. Because if Russia's oil is able to be sent back in the market, it's able to be commercialized under the U.S. and purchase of the U.S. dollar, then Lloyd's of London and all of the death grip they have on the oil that flows through the Straits of Hormuz, because they don't have any control over the contracts and the insurance of the Russian tankers and their oil. Russia does. So Lloyd's of London loses. If you're able to offset a portion of the global oil flow by throwing Russian oil in there, it just takes more profits out of the bankers' coffers in the city of London. That's the only reason. You saw what's his name, Boris Johnson, race over there that day and stop Zelensky from entering into an agreement for that reason only.
Yes, and if that all happens, that means that they won't be able to purchase oil while there are sanctions anymore. They won't be able to use an alternative currency.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They won't be able to make like deals with each other when there are sanctions in place.
Yep. I'm just preparing you guys for this. When you start to see Donald Trump announcing energy deals with Russia, and you start to see Donald Trump announcing energy and other trade deals with China, just know that what you're witnessing are sovereign countries who are acting in their own self-interest, who are aligning where those self-interests make sense, and they're continuing to push forward. And it's just really interesting to me that all the people whose self-interest seem to be aligning are the ones who are desperate to break the stranglehold of the Bank of London, of the City of London, of those people. All right, what's this?
Oh, that Tammy was saying, she was talking about the one where Pelosi said you got to vote for it to see what's in it. That's the ACA. That's the Affordable Care Act. That's Obamacare.
Please rock that Pelosi bill. You got to vote in. Do you think that they did look at Tucker's phone and found conversations with Kent? It's possible, but I don't think they needed to. I think they ran a canary trap on Joe Kent, and they got what they needed. Now, if there's an FBI investigation out, and it's been confirmed now that there is an investigation that predated him resigning, it's a pretty good indication that they were in fact looking at those phone calls. They were looking at conversations that Joe Kent was having with certain people that he shouldn't have been having, and apparently seems to be been leaking information to him, which, by the way, is the reason why he was locked out of the conversations about Iran months ago. So we're not going to have time to get to it tonight. So maybe we do this on Friday. Maybe we spend time like really diving into Joe Kent, because he's going to do more interviews. He did an interview with Tucker Carlson tonight. There's a couple clips that are out, and it is total hogwash, the crap that he's saying in these clips. And then he's doing he's doing Candace. And I also saw that Mark Levin invited him on. So it sounds like he might be going on Mark Levin's show.
He was supposed to go on the radio. I read he was supposed to go on the radio show, and he didn't show up.
I put the like promo flyers for some Catholic thing that he's doing too. And there are, I mean, it's all the people. It's all the Black Pill people in that. And don't forget, we have a special show tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Mountain Time.
We've not announced this at all to anybody, SK. This has only been in our chat. So what SK is alluding to, so tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Time, so 10 Eastern Time, Data Republican has asked to come on the show. SK and I are going to host another shit show, though it's going to be a very different one. So Data Republican and her translator are going to come on the show. She wants to use our platform to talk about some issues in the deaf community. It's very specific to her, to the things that she goes through, that she has to, the challenges that she has, challenges the deaf community themselves has. I don't know exactly what the content's going to be, but we're going to, we will always open our platform up for Data Republican anytime she wants. And we're going to tomorrow. So SK, I don't know if you have any more details of what this is going to look like, but tomorrow night she's coming on and she's bringing her translator.
I told her, I offered to her months ago, and told her I would love for her to come on and, talk about these things. And she's been so busy, and now she has a free night. So I think she's going to be coming on. I'm sure we'll talk about some other things too, but I think it's important for people to understand, what it is that people in the deaf community experience on a daily basis. And I think it's important for Data Republican to be able to be an inspiration to people in that community, kids in that community. Don't let anything hold you back. And she's the perfect example of that.
That's right. Yep. Last thing, and then we're going to wrap. Kay Posto. Apparently, Megyn Kelly has a new ex post out threatening, if you want to tear the GOP apart, indict Joe Kent and Tucker. I'm sorry, Megyn, but you have been part of the group that have been tearing the GOP apart and holding people accountable if in fact they are leaking, particularly to people who are using that information to try to destroy the agenda we voted for, is the one thing that we have to do. If you have somebody inside the intelligence apparatus that is leaking information to someone like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and that information is then being used to destroy the agenda we voted for, they better indict his ass.
Yeah. And more importantly, we don't know what Tucker's role is. Everybody calm down, right? We don't know. We know what the potential Canary trap leak was, right? That's what we know. Because if I'm not mistaken, everybody in the administration came out and said there's no investigation of Tucker
immediately.
They said
Which is why
yeah.
I think it's a canary.
Yeah, I think Tucker is safe. Who would not be safe would be Joe Kent, who let that out of the bag, who leaked that. And I'm sorry, it is a crime to leak information. This is a crime, folks. Do we want to prosecute people who commit crimes, or don't we? Just because they're a friend of ours? No, it is a crime, and in fact, he's actively working against this administration and the administration's agenda. I mean, this is no different than the first administration. You had leakers that basically led to an impeachment. How's it any fucking different? And it was all bullshit.
Lovable Dash, I did not bring you back a prize from vacation. My kids brought back really sweet. What are those things called? The swords.
Lightsabers.
Lightsabers. My kids brought back really sweet lightsabers. That's what we brought back.
We see you, Claire. Yes, well, it certainly seems like he is actually being investigated right now. So
That's right.
Keep up with all this. Yeah, well, that's why you watch us, K-Pasta, when you go back to work. That's why
make
we're
sure
here.
you X out of the chat and hit the thumbs up button, and make sure you come back. Like if you're doing chores or something, or you're busy doing something and you can't be listening, turn the volume down, click on the video, let it play at least for a little while, and comment on the videos after they posted, the live videos after they posted. Make sure you comment, because that helps push them farther. And make sure you share them on all your social medias. Send them to your friends. Tell your friends to post them. That way we can grow.
Yep. All right, folks. I will be back home Friday. We'll see you Friday for an after-hours show. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night to support Data Republican and all of the stuff that she has to fight through in order to be the incredible content creator that she is. And with that, I think we're out.